Welcome back into the 143. This is Under Review. We're coming at you live.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with episode number 42.
Shout out to
Jackie Robinson. He has nothing.
This episode is not about him at all.
He has nothing to do with this episode, but it's episode 42.
So exciting and interesting week in the NFL this week. We are now recording a couple hours after the trade deadline, so we will be discussing some trades and just kind of some things we saw this week. So another football episode, as they are, since we are in the middle of the season. How are we doing today, Nick?
We're doing good. We have, Game 3 of the World Series is tonight, which is Tuesday. It was originally scheduled for Monday, but due to inclement weather in Philadelphia, they had postponed the game till tonight. The series is tied 1-1, as a matter of fact.
And we are, again, pulling for the Phillies, in case anyone was wondering.
As per the usual.
So, on a side note, before we get started, just ask that y'all go share our podcast if you can. Get us out there.
Please. That would be much appreciated.
Comment, subscribe to the YouTube and or the podcast itself on wherever you get your podcasts. We are on all platforms. But, please help us get out there. We'd love to have more listeners and invite more people into just knowing the truth through this podcast about sports.
Yes.
And
just giving them all the facts.
There are just some people out there who just haven't found it yet, and they're looking for it.
They're lost.
And we have it. So let's get started. Let's get rolling with the stat of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, your stat of the week, brought to you by Andrews Logistics, is the NFC East currently is 23-8 right now. 23 wins, 8 losses. 4 of those losses come from Washington. No shocker. We have the highest winning percentage right now through the first 8 weeks of the NFL season.
We went from the so-called NFC least, as it were,
to the now, NFC beast.
Yeah, we are the NFC beast. So that is pretty huge for us.
You heard that nickname first here on Under Review, by
obviously,
the way.
People assumed that the Eagles would be this good, maybe not undefeated, but they thought they would be pretty good. And the Cowboys were shaky. No one saw the Giants pulling this junk out of nowhere, and then obviously the Commanders
don't think the Giants will keep it up.
Are trash, so they're going to keep doing what they do in losing games.
But yeah, we are now the powerhouse of the NFC and all of football.
Your player of the week is the newest 49er, Christian McCaffrey. Playing in his second week, he did not see a lot of action, but I know he made all the fantasy owners happy this week.
He did.
He recorded 18 carries for 94 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown.
Attaboy.
So there's one touchdown. Okay. He had 8 receptions for 55 yards and a receiving touchdown. So there is touchdown number 2.
There is touchdown number 2.
And then 34 passing yards and a passing touchdown. That's touchdown number 3. So
that's a hat trick.
A rushing, a receiving, and a passing touchdown. First time it was done since 2005, and the last person to do it was LT.
Yeah,
I think
LaDainian Tomlinson.
So that was a huge success for the 49ers.
You got to give him player of the week for that one.
Beat the Rams, a divisional game.
They are killing the Rams in the regular season. They have swept them once again.
They are showing that they are actually and could be playoff contenders.
They are playoff contenders.
Super Bowl contenders. Could they
possibly
be the NFC team to beat this year besides the Eagles?
What about the Seahawks, though?
It could be them. I think the Seahawks are pretenders.
All right. Well, that was your player of the week, and now we are rolling into our stuff here. I was started off. We won't talk a whole lot about this game, but we have to mention the Cowboys did beat the Bears. We gave up a lot of rushing yards, but we came away with the 49-29 win. Dak looked great, as he normally does against bad teams. Tony Pollard coming in for Zeke, who was injured. 3 touchdowns, over 130 rushing yards. And
yeah, he popped off. Obviously, he had a huge role to fill.
Yep.
Because Zeke was not there. We called up Malik Davis from our practice squad. I believe that was Saturday before the game so that we could have 2 running backs going in there. And I guess
Malik got himself a touchdown.
he did good. We beat him with our JV running back, so that was pretty impressive.
Yep. So CeeDee Lamb went off too. None of this was really surprising. This is what we should have done.
I guess my one singular gripe about the game was like I didn't like that we gave up 29 points to the Bears.
Yeah, our run defense is going to need some work.
That was pretty interesting. Obviously, Micah Parsons with the huge scoop and score fumble.
Micah Parsons is a dog. He is the lion.
That's what we like to see. Obviously, Micah Parsons doing Micah Parsons things. No one was
Exactly.
surprised by his performance.
I was not. He always comes to play. Defensive Player of the Year. That's my vote right there. Is Micah Parsons.
I agree.
So that was the Cowboys game. There really wasn't much to it this week. Bye week next week, then Packers. So that'll be a fun game to watch. But other games that were notable this week, the Bengals last night took a beating from the Browns.
That was very much, I think, to my surprise, and I think to everyone's surprise. I thought the Bengals would win. I didn't think they'd spank the Browns, but I did think that they would win by a significant amount of points.
Well, this is what we're seeing from the Bengals, is they can win, no doubt about it. They made it to the Super Bowl last year. The only thing is, when they go up against really good defensive lines, it's very tough for them to have any success because their O-line is terrible, even though they said they revamped it.
It honestly
they did not.
Looks worse than it did last year.
Joe Burrow has no time to throw, run, anything before Myles Garrett was just having his way with the defensive line last night. Jadeveon Clowney was getting in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, everyone on the Browns defense was just feasting on the Bengals' terrible O-line. So they need to work on that. And I mean, the Bengals aren't bad. It's just their O-line gives them no time.
They were missing Jamar Chase due to a hamstring injury, so that's a pretty significant loss for them.
I don't think it would have made much difference, though, last night.
Jamar Chase is huge, but it's still the same problem that they had last year in his blocking.
Yes.
Right? Like, they just can't protect Joe Burrow, and that was their downfall ultimately last year. They managed to make it to the Super Bowl out of it, but it's the same problem this year.
So that means the Ravens now are atop the AFC North, and the Ravens went to Tampa Thursday night and got the win there against Tom Brady. I don't know what's going on in Tampa, but they need to figure it out.
The Buccaneers are not looking at all like anyone expected them to. Tom Brady is not playing like Tom Brady, to say the least.
Tom Brady, I think Tom Brady's distracted.
He just has a lot going on outside
of football,
the game right now.
And the Bucs defense is supposed to be amazing. I'm not seeing it. I think they've got a lot to work on. Actually, the number one team in the NFC South is the Atlanta Falcons right now.
With the huge win over the Panthers.
Yes. DJ Moore.
Gut-wrenching.
Yeah, so with a few seconds left, Panthers are down by 6. They do like the 60-yard Hail Mary to DJ Moore, who actually catches it to tie the game.
Also, side note, PJ Walker fires a 60-yard strike off of his back foot.
Hit DJ Moore in stride.
As he is rolling out to the left.
It was a beautiful
and
throw.
Just chunks this
beautiful
dart.
Throw. And DJ Moore catches a touchdown to tie the game.
So it's 34-34 at that point, and I think there's like 4 seconds left.
Yeah,
maybe.
There's not enough time to do anything. It was like 12, I think. DJ Moore takes his helmet off to celebrate, so they get penalized. The extra point gets moved from a 25-yard field goal to a 48-yard field goal, and they miss the extra point. So the game goes into overtime. Long story short, Falcons come away with the win on a field goal.
Ultimately, though, the kicker choked again in overtime. He missed a 33-yard field goal, which would have sealed the win.
What's up with kickers this season, guys?
The defense picked off Marcus Mariota at the beginning of overtime, and then the Panthers drove down, and the kicker just missed a field goal to win the game.
Yeah, Evan McPherson last night also was missing an extra point and a field goal.
He missed an extra point.
I don't know what's going on with kickers this year, guys, but y'all have one job, and we're gonna need to get better at the one thing you're supposed to be doing.
I mean, so obviously, I'm not saying it's easy to kick like a
50-yard nuke.
That Panthers kicker a couple days ago missed a 48-yarder. I'm not saying that I could go out there and just smoke a 48-yarder, but it's like You're playing for an NFL team. You're playing at the highest level possible.
You're
in
one
this
of the
sport.
best 32 kickers in the nation.
Like, you're seriously telling me that you can't go out and find a guy that can make a 48-yarder? Like, that's your one job. That is all you do.
Yeah, it blows my mind the amount of field goal kicks and extra points that have been missed this year. I don't know what's going on with kickers, but they're going to need to figure it out. But Atlanta came away with the win on that one. Another notable thing that happened is the Raiders got absolutely blown out by the Saints, which the Saints were terrible the week before. They came out, and I guess their defense just shut the Raiders down. Like Josh Jacobs the week before had like almost 200 rushing yards, and he was very quiet this week.
Derek Carr was pretty bad. Obviously,
the Raiders have been a very big disappointment.
Hunter Renfrow has been a shell of himself. Obviously, he was a stud last year, but he missed a couple games. But other in the games that he played in, he has been utterly useless, right? They couldn't do anything with Devontae Adams this past week. So I think everyone was expecting the Raiders season to go a lot better than it has been.
And it just didn't. But I think that I don't think they're making playoffs at this point the way they've been playing. I don't know. It's still kind of early, but it's getting to the point where it's like a little something to be worried about. The Dolphins came back on the Lions and got the win, which they should have won by a lot more. But so they got that win. Belichick still owns the Jets, got the win over them. There was just a lot of typical. I mean, there weren't a whole lot of like upsets this week. The Bills beat the Packers, which was that everyone saw that coming. So I think in terms of the games this week, I mean, they were just you kind of except for the Bengals one, the rest of them were like okay.
That's what should happen, right?
Yeah. So it was kind of more of a normal week, but switching gears to today, a lot of trades have happened over the weekend and today. Specifically, T.J. Hawkinson has gone to the Vikings. So
the division rivals of the Detroit
Lions. That was
an
interesting trade because that is their division rival. So I'm not sure.
T.J. Hawkinson,
he's pretty good.
I would say he was their second best receiver on the Lions behind Amon-Ra.
Right.
And the Vikings didn't have a tight end. Irv Smith was there, but he's not that good. They definitely got an upgrade in T.J. Hawkinson. So that is huge if you're the Vikings. And I don't really know why the Lions traded away T.J. Hawkinson because he is one of their best players.
I don't know either.
But maybe they know something I don't.
Chase Claypool went to the Bears. So the Bears have traded away a bunch of players and then
I was shocked by that one because they've been trading away all of their good players, but then all of a sudden out of nowhere.
So we all think they're tanking.
They gave away some of their draft picks to get Chase Claypool whenever they were trying to trade away good players to gain draft picks.
They've been trading away all their good defensive players, and then they got an offensive player. They really need defense, and they just got rid of it.
Honestly, like, Chase Claypool is not that big of an upgrade. Like, the thing that you need is not wide receivers.
Darnell Mooney's better than Chase Claypool.
Yeah, or he's at least the same level as him.
Yeah.
It's not like you went out and got a stud receiver.
I don't know what they were doing there. The Dolphins did make some nice moves. They went out and got Jeff Wilson from the 49ers.
They got rid of the Dolphins got rid of Chase Edmonds, and then they also got
they got Bradley Chubb from the Broncos, who is a very, very good linebacker. So the Dolphins are trying to make something happen right now this season. And I'm all for it because I am a Dolphins fan this season.
That is huge for the Dolphins. I don't really understand.
I mean, Jeff Wilson's okay, but Bradley Chubb's a pretty big one.
I don't understand the Jeff Wilson one, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Because they already had Chase Edmonds.
It's not like they're that
as
much
their
different.
Backup, so it was like, yeah, but they got rid of Chase Edmonds. So, I mean, whatever, it is what it is. They know something I don't. So the Cowboys, once again, are doing nothing.
Silent.
So the Texans were open to hearing trade options for Brandon Cooks, and I know one of the teams that was supposed to be in there and would hopefully obtain Brandon Cooks was the Cowboys. But we are all silent on the Western Front.
As usual.
Nothing happened. Brandon Cooks is still a Texan. Obviously,
I was hoping we would get him, but
he had contract complications that don't make him attractive, I think, for other teams. And so yeah, he's still in Houston. I was thinking maybe DJ Moore, also from the Panthers, but he went nowhere.
Or
he's
Elijah
still
Moore
along with Carolina.
From the Jets was also an option.
Well, I mean, Elijah Moore is a good receiver. Like, his most productive weeks this year were whenever they had Joe Flacco. And so when Zach Wilson came along, Elijah Moore was non-existent. He didn't even have a single reception.
Zach Wilson doesn't really throw it to
on Sunday.
Elijah Moore at all. Elijah Moore demanded a trade. Didn't get it.
Literally after the game, the interviewer was like, "You didn't get the ball today," and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm not getting passes." Like, he is a good receiver.
He is a good receiver. So I don't know what's going on there. But the trades, I think the teams that benefited most were the Dolphins and the Vikings with their pickups.
Yes.
So good job, guys. Cowboys, it's not like we definitely needed someone, but it would have been nice to get somebody.
Just like
definitely a receiver.
Of the people that were out there, like,
there were some good options.
We could have went out and snagged Brandon Cooks. That would have been kind of lethal, if you ask me. It would have been,
but we didn't. So, that's your trades. Nothing too big. Nobody humongous got moved, but the trade deadline is over, so the teams are set.
One more thing about the Cowboys, I did think we were gonna get Brandon Cooks, also because, like, we like to get
receivers midway
and that are kind of past. I wouldn't say past their prime, but they're a little more seasoned. Like, obviously, you have Amari. And then another one's Randall Cobb and even Tavon Austin, right? Like, all of those dudes were dogs, right? But we just got him a little bit later. And so I felt like Brandon Cooks fit the resume there. He's obviously competed in a Super Bowl with the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping, but we didn't. I think we're okay, though. I'm not, like, mad we didn't get him. I was hoping.
It wasn't a need,
surprised.
but it was just like we were just flirting with the idea of getting a receiver. And so that kind of got me excited, and then nothing happened.
But we'll be okay. Moving on to fantasy, Nick.
Obviously, like I said,
nothing crazy this week. I mean, like, there was some crazy stuff
other
that happened.
Other than the 40 burger from McCaffrey, I think everything else was
pretty normal. I mean, the only, like, Devontae Adams had 1.7 because the Raiders were terrible, so that doesn't normally happen. Like, A.J. Brown popped off, Derrick Henry popped off. Like, guys that we already knew were good, did good. Obviously, Joe Burrow didn't do good. His O-line was terrible. But for the most part, it was pretty much a normal week, finally. I think this is the first normal week we've had in the NFL. First normal week that we have had in fantasy. And so sit tight with what you got. Keep checking those waiver wires. I doubt a lot of players are out there right now.
There's just not a lot of guys out there. We're in a 10-man league here, and so obviously we like to monitor the waiver wire, but the problem is when you're in a 10-man league, there's just nobody out there free agent wise.
Exactly.
So it's just tough to find those diamonds in the rough, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, keep pressing on, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll have more for you in the upcoming weeks. Just with all these trades and everything, keep an eye on, like, TJ. I have him on my team. He's on the Vikings now. That shouldn't change much, but just stuff like that.
That gives Kirk another guy to throw to.
Yep.
Which that's huge if you're a Kirk Cousins
and the Vikings
fantasy owner.
Yep. So I think everything was good this week, and the trades were kind of interesting, but not too crazy. So we will keep an eye on the NFL for y'all, and we will bring you more in the upcoming weeks. But this week was pretty much a down week, I'd say.
It was just a normal week. We just kind of got
some good games.
We got what we were expecting.
It wasn't.
There were huge upsets. Nothing really surprising, but Aaron Rodgers lost once again, so there's a plus.
There is a plus
right there.
There is a plus,
and he's gonna lose to the Cowboys in Lambeau. I'm excited for that one.
I am as well.
Very excited. Well, here's where we like to end our shows on Under Review. I've brought to you an inspirational quote from Ken Griffey Jr. When you have fun, it changes all the pressure into pleasure. And I think that's the truth right there.
That is the truth. So keep going out there. Keep having fun.
When you're fighting in your battles, okay, you got to change all of that pressure, all of that outside stress, change it into pleasure.
Facts.
And then you will have fun.
Keep having fun by listening to us.
I would agree.
Here at Under Review.
That's one way to have fun.
Exactly. So thank y'all for tuning in and listening to us this week. Keep us going out there. Keep publicizing us, and keep tuning in for each episode. Thank y'all so much. We'll see you next week on Under Review.